You won't want to miss this episode of Build It with AI, where we'll be talking about a real-world example of customizing an open-source large language model with fine-tuning techniques. Hi, Sebastiano. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Great. So, can you tell us more about yourself and your startup? I know you are an experienced AI engineers. You are a Synapsia AI CTO. So I'm really curious to know more about your role in the startup and your experience.
Yes, thank you. So, as you said, I'm the CTO of Synapsia AI. We are based in Milan, and is a company that works together with Maya Inc., that is based in USA, and both are controlled by DT Socializing Holding, that is based in UK. So uh, we are just not a single company or a small startup, but we are part of a big step project. So I am also Microsoft MVP for AI category. I guess 10 years now, and
Wow,
deal
that's
with
great.
intelligence since 20 years. So I guess that I got a bit of experience on over the field. And yeah,
Of course, and thanks for sharing. And since you have such a great experience, the next question is a bit tricky one, but it's a question we love to ask to our guests because we really want to normalize failure. Failure is part of our careers, is part of our job, is part of our life at the end of the day. So I want to ask you, what is one of the biggest challenge you faced in your journey in the AI world, or as an entrepreneur? Any challenge you want to share with us that you faced in your career?
well, first of all, you mentioned failures, and I have to say thanks to failures, because without failures, I would do nothing today, because I learned from failures, and the people are scared to fail. Instead, I can suggest people fail fails a lot, because that's the only way, in my opinion, to improve and to go forward. Anyway, talking about my biggest challenge, uh, for me is just one. Since I started working, resources, they are never enough, and there are very few companies in the world that has enough resources to do whatever you want, and is not always true neither for them. uh, so for normal companies like us, that despite they have um, enough money to do things. But let you imagine talking about AI nowadays, for example, that a small model like V2 from Microsoft was trained for 2 weeks with 9060 GPUs.
Mhm.
So it was just a joke for you. But for a companies, for a normal companies like us, would be impossible for economic resources. And so the biggest challenge is to find the clever ideas to do things even with few resources. And for a lot of people, that's a too huge obstacles. But for me, uh, it's a challenge, and what pushes me to do even better. And with that, uh, with in the several years, we produced, thanks also to people and team I work with, algorithms to improve, to avoid that restrictions. And so, for example, we were able to win 3 AI awards thanks to our smart solutions so solving this problem, this lack of resources. And we are proud of that. So don't be afraid to fail, but also don't be afraid of resources because there is always a way to solve the problem, in my opinion.
Thanks for sharing, Sebastiano. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I think you're right. Sometimes when you have like less resources, you need to be more effective, to optimize things and to think smarter. So I really like the challenge you've selected and you shared with us. Thank you. So now let's get technical, right? I know you are going to reveal to us a project you are working on about customizing an open source large language model with enterprise data. But before that, can you just recall everyone what's the concept of fine tuning? I think everyone will benefit from a recap of the main concept before going into practice.
Well, we just talked about a clever idea to solve problems like resources. So the fine-tuning in AI, especially nowadays, can help. So basically, in deep learning, fine-tuning is an approach in which the weights of a pre-trained model are trained on new data in order to learn better your task or your own data. That training could be done on the entire model or just on some layers. So it's up to you. And the problem is that that's great, but it takes a huge amount of resources. It's almost like training from scratch a new model when talking about the real fine-tuning. And we said that it's not affordable for nobody nowadays to train, for example, very large language models. But there are some techniques that come to help us. For example, we can simplify the fine-tuning in order to consume less resources. And there are several techniques that allow us to do that. So, for example, we can talk about the LoRa and other techniques. But before, I want to say that for some people, where fine-tuning could be seen like, let's say, a shame. So because I do fine-tuning is not a real AI or is not really my model. That's not true, because as we said, it's a very, very expensive, and starting from a vanilla model and creating a very good data set, you create, it's like to create a real new model, in my opinion. And that's so true that, for example, even big companies like Apple or like bigger startup use that approach. So don't worry about fine-tuning because you believe that is something like to play with toys. That's not true.
Because or cheating. It's not like cheating.
That opinion maybe for you sounds strange, but I discussed it with people about that, and I was surprised. So
now that's an interesting point, and I just wanted to add on top to what you say is that, I mean, if there are pre-trained models that work very well and we can adapt those models to our scenarios instead of reinventing the wheel, I think it's just building on other success. So I think it's like talking about clever ways, finding clever ways of doing things. I think it's just a clever ways of doing things, right?
Yes, I talked a week ago with some with a company, let's say with a company, and they said no, training a model is out of our scope. Is we can't, because it's too difficult, it's impossible, resources and so on. And yes, but fine tuning is like to play. So they are missing a business because for a wrong idea.
Yeah.
So, well, come back again to technique, and I will tell you about some techniques that we can use to fine tuning our large language model using far more less resources. Sorry. So, my favorite technique is the technique named LoRa, or low rank adaptation. So I don't want to do a math lesson. If I say something too academic, so please stop me. Anyway, the idea is that we do not train the entire model, but we use very few small matrix, and just, for example, rows and columns. If you multiply two vectors, you can create a new matrix. So the idea, the clever idea, is that if I do the fine-tuning just on rows, the first row, to simplify, the first row and the first column, and then I multiply that vectors, I get a matrix. So you understand that you reduces a lot the number of parameters to train. For example, in our case, using LoRa technique with a very, very expensive parameters, so we train just the 1% of the entire model.
Which means, just to recall that, which means using less compute resources and using having also an advantage in terms of time of training, right?
Yeah, a lot, because in this case we can do a train in 2-3 days. It depends on the data set, but if you think that the training of a very small model like V2 was 2 weeks, yeah. I don't know how many months OpenAI month. So compared to 1-2 days is nothing, really nothing. And if I reduce those parameters, I can do training even on my own workstation. Of course, I have the 2 very big GPUs like NVIDIA 3090, so 2 GPU, and I can do it also at home, but not always. I have to reduce parameters a lot, but you can do it. So that gives you the idea of the amount of parameters we can reduce compared to the original models. And that was game changer, really, because that allows the company to, let's say, small company compared to bigger company, of course, to create their own model. But
yeah, this basically democratized, let me say, fine tuning.
Yes, but let me clarify something. It's not for free. So democratization, it means that a lot of people can do it, but not for free. So it's anyway expensive. So you have to buy, for example, we buy Microsoft Azure GPU to make the training. And of course, that has a cost. So because sometimes people believes, oh, okay, that's easy, that's for free. No, the effort is still high. It's not so high like to train from scratch a large language model, but
Of course, we are talking about optimization of resources,
yes,
right?
also in terms of hardware. Again, we buy, we spend a lot on Azure, buying GPUs, buy resources. So I guess that is also normal and correct, but you can do it. So another technique when I'm talking about fine tuning and optimization is also the quantization. So what it is the quantization? If you know, the weights of a model are floating points numbers. So they have a high precision, so 32 bits, and it means 4 bytes in memory. Well, of course, floating point numbers are much more expensive to compute compared to integers. And the idea of quantization is to replace the usage of floating points with integers. And that speed up a lot performances. We can also switch from 32 floating points to 16 floating points. That also helps. And half the resources that we need. But if we switch to integer, we can improve not the amount of resources, because of course we have still 4 bytes, for example, but the speed, because as we said, to process a floating point number is much more expensive than an integer. Say that you can push that forward and to use also 8-bit representation of a single weight in integer. So that it means 4 times less resources compared to the original one.
Cool.
So you understand that we are reducing a lot, because in this way we improve the amount of the RAM that we need with using the GPU, but also the timing. And the time is also cost, because if I have to pay, for example, for a GPU on Azure 3 days or a week, it changes.
Yeah, of course. And which one of these techniques you just explained to us? Which one did you use in your project?
Well, just LoRa, because thanks also to the GPUs provided by Azure, I don't need the quantization.
Okay.
And
so they, just to clarify, they are complementary. It's not one or the other. You can use both.
That's the next point, because if you want, you can join. And the technique is named QLoRa. So the LoRa with quantization.
Great.
But to answer to your question again, we use just LoRa and with 8-bit, for example. because someone pushes also to 4-bit, and but honestly, we are a good company, and so we can afford a much more expensive training. And also, in my opinion, when you push to reduce too much, of course, you pay elsewhere. So reducing precision is reducing also the quality.
Yeah, it's about
When
finding a
using
good
LoRa,
balance.
yeah, when using LoRa, I see no effects on the quality. So it's an amazing tool. Switching to 8-bit is still very, very good. But honestly, I realized that 4-bit is too much. So for me, it's not good for production results, but you can do that if you want.
Great. And can you show us a few of improvements you had, like by using this fine-tuning technique?
Oh, yes, I will show you. We were able to release on Hugging Face our own model, and then
Oh, great.
I will share you the link. We
Yes,
are
please.
proud of that because thanks to this the techniques, I realized a dream. Of course, it's just the first stage, so is a fine-tuning model starting from Mistral. The choice could have been also Llama 2, but we decided for Mistral. But the next step is to use a more advanced technique that we are already using, and
Okay.
like supervised fine tuning and the DPO. And I guess in the early next month, we will release even a more advanced model. And
Great.
in 2 months, I hope, I hope to release a multimodal model. Anyway, talking about to supervise that technique, I would like to talk about that technique because it's amazing. It's amazing for a reason that will be much more clear at the end, but not for technical reasons. So supervised fine tuning, basically, what it means. It means that you train your model using data that are validated by humans. Because normally large language model usually trained using an unsupervised technique, because of course they are too big and it's impossible to control all data. And that's, for example, the reason why all large language models suffers of biases, for example, or hallucinations. Hallucinations are not just related to dataset, but also for mathematical reasons. But anyway, also the data set is important for that. So the state of the art is reinforcement learning from human feedback. Is a technique that has been used by GPT-4, by Claude, for example, by us. And it means that there are people, in our case, high skilled people, very high skilled people that create and double check the dataset. And
Just to clarify, when you say high skilled people, they are people skilled in the domain area of your data, right?
no, I'm proud to say that people that has a degree in literature, history, or human skills, let's say.
Okay, great.
So the aspect of books
That's interesting.
of our Italian Leonardo da Vinci or Alessandro Manzoni. I don't know if
They are language
Leonardo
experts.
da Vinci is very, very famous. I don't know about about the Manzoni. Anyway, that is against the believing that the AI will kill our culture, will destroy everything. No, we are always looking for people that has this kind of skill, just culture. So
Awesome.
if you know literature, if you know what to say, everything, poetry, history, you can do that job.
Awesome.
And we have an amazing team. I'm proud of them, and really, we are going to offer a job, for example, to people that works in translation language, because we are working on a model that is also multi-language. So I guess that the AI, yeah, could be a problem for someone, but also could be an opportunity for others. And I don't believe that will destroy everything. Say that
I'm with you. I'm with
we
you.
can come back and we can talk about the final technique, and then I will show you something that is named the DPO, or direct preference optimization. That's the state of the art, really the state of the art of the fine tuning, because the reinforcement learning from human feedback works by creating a side model that learns the human preferences, and then really, to simplify, helps the other model during the training. With the DPO, I will not explain the math behind, but believe on that, it's able to simplify that process. And then we don't need to create a side model. So we can do everything with one model. And that's the state of the art. I would like to share my screen to show you our tool.
Yes, please. Sebastiano, just to recap before we show this. So you say that the first stage of your project, the one which is available on Hugging Face, just to be clear, you used LoRa, right? And then in the roadmap, you have as next step using reinforcement learning with human feedback to get like an improved version of the current model, right? I just want to do a
We
recap.
already do that. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
But we already do that. But we are waiting a month just to collect more data in order to do better training. But we already use inside a model that has been trained using that new technique like the TPO.
Okay, I see.
Just will be on a game phase, I guess, in a month.
So please, I will not interrupt you anymore. Go ahead, share your screen and.
So let me share. Here we are. Okay. So this is the tool that we created that is used by our high-skilled people. And basically, as you can see, we can select different models in this case, and we have two versions of the same question. And then you can choose where it is the best one. Also, we have, for example, here, as you can see, we have a lot of prompts that we use inside our flow, and then people they go here, here they can fix what it is wrong, and to produce better results.
So this is an internal tool which is used
Yes.
by your startup employees to basically implement the reinforcement learning with human feedback we were talking about 1 minute ago, right?
That's correct. Also, we are working on reasoning capabilities. So people helps the model to produce better results. Also, explaining how to use the brain, let's say. And one of how we can do that. So we said that we work with a company named Maya Inc., the US-based company, and we work on a product that it is named, of course, Maya. Where it is Maya, Maya is a life copilot that helps you, like Bing Chat, for example, but with a difference. We created what we called the personal profile graph. It means that is a graph with all your personal informations, and we use that informations to produce much more custom and accurate answers using a RAG technique.
Thanks for Sebastiano. Yeah, thanks for mentioning RAG, because we have talked a lot about fine-tuning, but I mean, I think people have heard a lot about RAG as well at this point, so it might be worth to just do a brief comparison about the two techniques.
Yes, basically RAG is a technique that can be used also together with fine-tuning, but can live also is standalone. The basic idea is that you can inject in your prompt some informations that you can retrieve from the web, from your database, from your knowledge, your internal knowledge, and so you inject that information inside the prompt, and that helps the prompt, helps the model, to understand better your domain, because of course large language models are really powerful, but they are not aware or your data, for example, but also they are not updated. They know nothing about breaking news or about the war in Europe, last news. Okay, so a way to solve that is, for example, to create a connection that could be also an agent. We can talk about agent if we have time after. We can create also an agent that takes informations from Microsoft Bing, and this is exactly what we do. So we created what is you know that as agent we call bricks, because we did some modifies, but anyway the idea is you ask about the last news that happened yesterday, and then we are connected with Microsoft Bing API. We get the web pages, we do the summary, and that summary is used as context inside the prompt. So, thanks to that, our large language model has the missing knowledge that he needs.
Yeah, which in the case of the assistant we were talking about, and the graph you're showing right now, basically we have, in this case, we have the context about the customer to whom the assistant is talking, right?
Exactly, and thanks to that, and thanks to some techniques on reasoning, we are working to solve some queries like, well, please suggest me a new car. I like the Audi A6. Well, if you ask that to Google or to another language model, it can answer because know nothing about you, who you are, what's your income, or other useful information. And thanks to that, for example, mixing all that informations with the query, and we were able to say, look, it's just an example. Your income is 50K per year. You are married, and you are the only one that works in the family. You have 2 kids. I suggest that the Audi A6 is not the best car for your budget.
Yeah, basically you can provide a customized
yes.
customer assistance. Yeah, that's great.
Another funny example, because we are pushing even more that capabilities. And 2 days ago, while I was doing some tests, and I asked, please suggest me a restaurant for dinner with Yole. Yole is the name of my wife. The reasoning was, I was speechless, because he said, you own a Volvo S90. It's a luxury car. You travel a lot. So you have money. Then I suggest, and you live in Milan, because he knows where. I guess that you can understand, because he's a famous chef in Italy, all around the world. I guess that Gordon Ramsay, maybe. Anyway, the suggestion was, so book to Chef Graco. Spend your money because you have money. I was speechless. I thought, okay,
I think your wife was happy about the answer.
That's too much. And then the question was the prompt, modified the request in to high level restaurants in Milan. Anyway, I was impressed by the reasoning capabilities and the link between the car, that is a luxury car, then you have money, then spend your money for your wife. Well,
yeah,
of course, there is a lot to do, a lot, because now that spike of reasoning, we plan and we hope that we can have much more spike in the future like that.
Sebastiano, thank you so much for everything you have shared with us today. Unfortunately, we really need to wrap up. I'm feeling that we probably need like another episode to share more about your projects, and I'm sure you will be bringing like fresh new things if we do so. So just before wrapping up, I just would like to show a quick slide here, because since we are talking about the startups world, I just want to give a word about the Microsoft Founders Hub program. So for everyone who is, watching this session, who is interested about AI and maybe has an idea for creating a new startup or just need some mentorship from Microsoft expertise, or some funding in terms of Azure credits, in terms of OpenAI credits, you can submit very easily to the Microsoft for Startup Founders Hub program and get a few benefits in terms of tools to build your own AI solution. Again, Sebastiano, I really want to thank you so much for having been here today and sharing all your knowledge about fine-tuning and your experience, your very interesting project. So thank you so much.
Thanks to you for the invitation.
Bye-bye.
Bye.